Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen. Muhammadin an-Nabi al-Ummi. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Yaqul Allahu ta'ala fil Quran Kareem. Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. Sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is indeed not only a wonderful day, but it's a wonderful period. Okay, it may not seem like it, but let me try to explain a period that we're in right now. We're in a period where we have rested, watched, forecast, predicted, and went through all types of things. And they've all come out about like, if anybody can remember some of the stuff we wrote, let's say around 10 years ago, about where the world was headed at that time. That was the time of, in fact, it's right at this time, except that was 11 years ago. When they was having Tahrir Square and all of that was going on. And they had something over there the exact day as February 11th, which was the day of the revolution. I don't know if anybody remember that. But all that stuff was going on, and they was trying to build that as this is a rehash of that, and this is where we headed. And then we basically put messages out. Number one, messages was about dealing with boss man here. And we said to the Kwanis around here that you're moving forward, but time is moving at 100 miles an hour and you're advancing at 40 miles an hour. So you're moving forward, but you're behind the curve. Does anybody remember those stuff? Okay, so everything that I'm going to talk about today, we have basically talked about on a repetitive basis. And just to get an old feeling, what is this? About 2009. Psychological guerrilla warfare. Now, a lot of people don't pay no attention to that, but that's deep. That's deep because we have already done that. Everything that we're going to talk about today, we have already done, and we're stepping into another, not arena, it's the same arena, but on a higher level. And people might say, well, what are you talking about? Moving ahead. Why, you're a handful of people here. What are you talking about? And everybody else got a house full of people, right? You can't go nowhere where the people can't hardly get inside. Fundraiser for Imam Jamil Alameen, that's 2008. There's some key stuff in this right here. Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. I'll read a little bit of it. During the period of global evolution, we are reaching out to all people of goodwill who wish to participate in the effort of global redesign. Global redesign. Toward achieving this ultimate vision, we are working diligently to reform even those who have worked and cooperated with Zionist American organizations as saboteurs, agent provocateurs, infiltrators, and traitors. This includes misguided believers who have even snitched on their own brothers and sisters. I think I wanted to read the one on top of that. Together, we must develop a plan of action and work with missionary zeal to bring about and play a role in the earth liberation movement. Earth Liberation Movement, which aims to free the earth from the parasitical behavior of man, establish a non-predatory system of interconnected global harmony, nurture and further a culture of earth first, custodianship, that's another word for caliphate, understand and respect the rights of the earth, which should be treated as a living organism, which it is, and envision and actualize a global redesign for the 21st century. Okay, those are all things. There's maybe just one or four things, a few more things. Some of the things we wanted to do: become archivists. This is not what we want to become. We had already done this. This is on 9/4/2015. So we had already done that. A lot of the stuff that we'll be reading, we've already done it. But archivists, that means, you notice sometimes we come up with a paper like this. Maybe it's a copy out of something. And archivist, documentalist, chronicler, historian. And we did that because we wanted to be educators and trainers. In order to do what we wanted to do or want to do, you have to have willpower, strong-mindedness, fortitude, self-control, self-command, self-mastery, self-government. Tenacious, that means the ability to hold on. The Hadith said to hold on with your hind teeth. That's holding on there. Self-denial, constancy, powerfulness, persistence, endurance, duro, and, to last a long time, permanence, resistance. We talk here about Kandak, Suraka, Hadramount, people on a boat. And Resistance Award for 2014. That's what we were saying we deserved at that time. The Resistance Award, for 2014. This is just a cover page from 1980. This would be probably about 82, 83. Strategic Thinking. It's a set of tapes by a company, Ben Trigo and them guys. And we always use the word strategic management and all of that. And even back in Jahiliyyah, we always had this type of stuff, strategic, thinking about a big whole picture, a long range, and not dealing with just today's or next week or maybe even next month, which most people, that's the way they do. Some think way ahead, like even to their next paycheck. Boy, when I get my next paycheck, I'm going to be rolling. And they've thought about where to spend the little money, not where to save it or anything. But I just wanted to mention some of those things. And some of the talks, this is a Black History Month program, but it's got a little change in it, one of our goals here is to liberate first North America from Zionist control. We as a As-Sabiqun movement or movement forces pull the Zionist pants down and give him a public butt whipping. We whip the Zionist upside the head and whip his behind. We just whoops his behind. I know this is good English. It sounds like it. All the verbs and adjectives are in the proper place. You could see that. So we whoops that. I'm sure you know what that means. I guess that means we're doing it. We whoops his, or we could have been doing, or we might do it, but whatever. We whoops his behind. That means that we could have done it last week. We whoops his behind. It could be the future, like we whoops them boys. We whoop them, you know. Uh, it just means that now it don't sound like much just to sit here and talk about it, but when you look at everybody else, nobody even thinks about talking to the Zionists like that. And we know the hadith on some of our flyers where Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam put a mimbar in the masjid for Hassan ibn Thabit, and he told him to satirize the enemy. I know we've talked about this a lot, but maybe it's been about 9 or 10 years ago. Satirize the enemy. Break their spirit. You know what I mean? Like you can talk, what is it, loud tools? Break the enemy's will to fight without fighting. Right. And if you got a big old giant like we got to fight here in America, you can't describe his characteristics and attributes. That'll make people run faster away from him, right? Instead of running to get him, you tell them the boss man got 67 aircraft carriers and they got this, that, and another. Shoot. And he got 700,000 snitches in and around Washington, D.C. That'd be about everybody, because it ain't but 700,000 people here. So it would be, all right, so you wouldn't describe him like that. So if you got to go to war, you have to describe your enemy like Dawood looked at him. Everybody else said, man, this Goliath is strapped down from head to toe, and he too big to hit. When you read the Bible, that's what you get an idea. Goliath is too big to hit. But that wasn't Dawood's position. When he looked at him, he said, man, this guy's too big to miss. Right? That was his attitude. His attitude made the whole day. Everybody else looked at him and said, no, man, this guy is too big to hit. That was Saul. Everybody felt that's true. He said, man, this guy is too big to miss. And what he gonna use? The thing, he been running lions in those days, those lions and stuff up in the Middle East. And he run them off with a slingshot. You know, what he had in hand. Well, what that means is people, when they're in a struggle, the highest level of sophistication is to properly use what God give you to defeat your enemy. To use it properly, to use it strategically. That means strategic has the idea of whatever you have, you're going to use it at the right place, at the right time, and you will have thought about it. You're going to use it in the right manner. Now, anybody that look at us here or look at what they've been doing to black people, right? One guy sent a message, say from up in New York, maybe a couple of weeks ago. Used to be overseas with me, right? I don't know if did you tell me that somebody sent me a message? Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. He tuned in and mentioned it. Okay. That's one person. And another guy 10, 12 years ago sent a message from overseas. That means out of the movement, out of the rebellion of the 60s, right? And all that time, that means that only two people then decided to maybe just a little contact. That means everybody else is dead, tired, or worn out, or is sitting up in the crazy house, right? That's actually what it means. And if you go and physically visit and see somebody, you get the idea, and you go and you present modern times, and they got something to do. You just say, well, very good. This is something I just brought. It ain't like the old days, but and you go on about your business, and then you hear from them years later, like, how you doing? That stuff. That means you have had to analyze where you are, who's with you, right? Where you're trying to go. Where you trying to go at this time? And that's what we're going to talk about today. It was to be Black History, but we're going to go through. I hope y'all are a little patient, because we're going to go this way, then we're going to go that way, then we're going to try to wrap it up. So this is Black History Month. We have, every week we're going to have a program on Sunday that deals with one of the subjects. We're going to get around either by car or walk or whatever we got to do, and we're going to get these flyers out, and we'll write up another one this week to go along with this one, or to take the place of this one. So we'll wind up touching every place around here. And this is Black History Month. But we have to put, I don't believe nobody's going to be as clear and as global as the movement or as the Black History Month. So let me get started on one place. Does anybody know what Rubicon means? Rubicon. Where? Crossing the Rubicon. What does it mean?
It's like after you cross that river, there's no going back. You can't undo it.
Right. When did it come into, where's the Rubicon and what?
It's from ancient Roman times. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, and the Roman Empire was never a republic after that. It was
Right.
empire.
No doubt about it. That's it. Okay. What did he do before he crossed the Rubicon?
He would send his agents into the city to kind of, spread propaganda about, how invincible Caesar is, and
Right.
he stopped, just go ahead, just give up, don't bother fighting.
Right. And he just walked into Rome. Right? In South Africa, the Boers, when they fought the British in 1900, 1901 and 1902, the Boers was wearing the English out. They were, South Africa technically belonged to part of a British colony, but the Boers, which were Dutch-like, they fought the British for that, and it was pretty bad for. Y'all ever heard the old stuff about, say, like 3 on a match is bad luck? If it's 3 people, that come from the old sniper days. The Boers were so good, if you struck a match and you like, this brother's bam, you like, that brother's bam. By the time it get to the 3rd one, they done already, first of all, they done woke up and saw it moving. Then they aim. Then when it goes to the next one, that used to be, they got that from history. That you gonna get, that's how good their sniping was. And the Boers, there's a river in Transvaal, they said that they had to go into exile inside of South Africa. And they called that we had to cross our own Rubicon. That when they went out there, they was going out there for a certain reason. There's another thing about Commander Rhodes. Anybody remember this guy, like Rhodes Scholars and all of that? Okay. Huh? Cecil Rhodes, yeah. He was a big colonial guy, you know. In fact, he was down in South Africa, and they had talked about they won't be able to do this, they won't be able to do that because the Zulus, the this, the that, and the other. And the South Africans, if you were to look up Matabele land and all those places, the Boers had sniper rifles that as good as they are now. I mean, they as good as, you know, and out of that whole South Africa, they knocked that over. When I say South Africa, I'm talking about what was considered at that time. That means parts of Mozambique and all of those areas down there. With all those wars, with the Maxim gun, which has just come out, machine gun, they killed thousands of black people. I mean, just imagine they're running toward. Now they had some chiefs of the Zulus that was bad. They whooped them up good on certain battles, but the general battle at one stage they had lost 8 white people to thousands of blacks. But now Bambata and others, they had bigger. They took the African chief, cut his head off, took a picture on it, and put it on a British postage stamp. That's how they felt about. They feel the same way about us. They got another thing. I just listened to the radio last night and this morning, up in what's the place where they killed the brother with his knee on him. They just had a search warrant went in there and yeah, and just shot the brother. The brother had a right to carry a gun, and the brother wasn't doing nothing. He was asleep. Of course he was asleep. And then, so with all of what it went on, all them last 2 years ago, all those Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, they don't matter. Unless you make your life matter. Right. You have to, we're in charge of that. They might have taken everything away, but to get it back, we have to take it back. And the world is waiting. The world is watching the Negro. The world, I don't care what they say. You could get up in Ireland and Bernadette Devlin or Dorn, all of them will say, we got inspired, the new people, from Martin Luther King. Right? You can go in many parts of Africa. We picked this up from Malcolm X. You could go all along the coast on east side and west side. When Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana established his first independent African state, does anybody know who their Marcus Garvey? Now, white folks tell us that don't nobody like y'all. That's bull crap. That's bull crap. When I used to travel, the little kids would follow me around. Everywhere. Whatever it was positive. If I was in Pakistan, they thought I was a cricket player, you know, because it's an old British colony, right? So they play that cricket, like not baseball, but whatever, you know, they wear that cricket. And all the cricket players they see are black. So they knew, you know, I'm tall and trim, kind of muscular at that time. So they figured they got to be a cricket player. And down in, whether it's Mexico, Colombia, I was a boxeador, a boxer. Well, all my friends was boxing, so I could pretend like throw a few punches. and they said he's a boxer. Technically, I was a bodybuilder, but you look like a boxer. Anyway, let me get into the subject today. The discussion today is resistance, reconstruction, and big goals, big reach, things that make you stretch. Our goals that we have don't make you stretch much. And the Negroes that they send around us, though no talking lawyer that they get all the cases now. What's his name? That's his name. He don't speak English well. I'd hate to have him in court, but he's the number one man. And y'all saw what the people was talking about Al Sharpton the other day, how he done played it. And we done had Message Jesse and all of those people. And all the people that have some power, if you were to be in Chicago, the Rainbow Coalition and all that comes from our brothers before. Jesse Jackson goes there and manipulates that situation, and he's for 20 or 30 years run Jesse run. They was telling some of the people in Oakland in '84 was saying, well, I guess we all have to compromise a little bit to run for Jesse. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't doing nothing. He'll be running by himself. And he sells out for what? A speech at the 1984, was that they let him talk. And he brought all those votes in. Because he got paid for it. Right? And old Reverend Al, you see what Reverend Al was a failed dope dealer. But he snitched on one group and he got another group looking out for him. That you let him go because he's going to give us a pass on all this property in Harlem. Right? Now, if you don't give him a pass, well, you won't be able to get no money. But if you give him a pass, we're going to rebuild Harlem. And guess what? You guys got cement trucks, right? You got workers. Let's share and be winners. All of us going to win off the niggas, right? And that deal only Sharpton only wanted what, $800,000? That ain't nothing. They'll get that out of one little building. Right? One little building. Okay. So the point is us. And it's not a new phenomenon. It's been like this for 40 years. It's about us, and it always has been during this dispensation. It hasn't been, there has, at least I didn't discover, there has been, there is not, and there was not. The Islamic movement of African Americans that was independent and headed in the right direction. All of them were weighed down and loaded down, and it's been different fitna at different times, all the time. Right now, when I first came here in '89, the next year they had the Daoud something or other. We used to call him the Biddah man coming through. Biddah, 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 if everybody remember him. Biddah, biddah, biddah. Next thing I heard was, we called it, from Philadelphia, was sex lies and videotapes about these big talking Negroes having little girls, and stuff like that. I mean, that was so every person that they build up for us, they're going to destroy them. They build them up and then they destroy them. They build up our heroes in front of us and then destroy them. One thing I said when I was leaving, and I said it then, that was a long time ago. I said, you'll never drag me behind your chariot. You know what I mean? You know, like you the hero, you the Negro hero of the day. We're going to tie you behind our chariot and drag you in front of everybody. So I said, you'll never drag this brother in front of behind no chariot. And I left the country. And every time that we have come in contact with Boss Man, we have been very strategic because leaving give you time to think, and you never have time to study, time to analyze, you know, and that's what we did. Okay, let me get into so resistance and reconstruction. And this is for us and others too, like you have to harness a vision. Well, what we're saying is we have to harness a vision for the people. And this vision, it should make you stretch a lot. Because a vision is something that you can reach, hopefully. But if you get involved in the movement headed that way, you're going to progress if you're just headed in that direction. Just to head in that direction. Okay. So we have to inspire our people. Because it's the world we want to live in. People do not realize that they can develop a picture in their mind. First of all, on a personal level, you can say, I want to be such and such. And then there's goals that get you there. And you can do it. Everybody that has a little something, they've set up goals. And some people had goals and they didn't even know it. And they did a study, 1952, the Yale crew, mostly all white men. And so they took the class in 1952. They come back 20 years later, 1972, and they looked at the results. They found that 3% of the people, now remember they're all white men, they're all from similar families and cultural background. In 52, they're all about the same. And they found that 3% of those people was worth more than the whole 97%. You know why that was? Because the other ones had goals. 3% of the people had goals. So when they had goals, they was able to harness everything and stay focused because they was going somewhere. A lot of us have learned motivation therapies and all that, but we have small goals, and the goals do not fit the time. See, at first, the goals we had was what came to us. You know, so we want to be rich. Who wouldn't want to be rich? And everybody liked Cadillacs, so we bought Cadillacs. And then we bought everybody else Cadillacs that, you know, and then we realized that I used to call my Broham that had mink and all that stuff in it, I used to call it the electric chair. You know, the electric chair, that's what I used to call it, because one thing, the police just took my driver's license. I didn't do nothing to lose them, like they do now. So they could stop me all the time because I don't have driver's license. Now, I was just so busy. My lawyers, I had the best lawyers in town. They never told me we could take you over there and we get you some insurance. And I don't care how bad your license, your traffic, which I didn't have one ticket, right? Yeah, but I made them money. They were my lawyers. They liked me. They liked me because they were proud. This is a young black man. Ain't nobody doing nothing like that. And they knew one of my lawyers, he became a Supreme Court justice in California, one of the most famous lawyers out there. He said, are you tired of playing Robin Hood? I mean, the old Robin Hood. Remember, I don't know if you watched the TV program and Richard Green in those days, Robin Hood. They was always running around Nottingham and the sheriff. I mean, Robin Hood and the sheriff. And every week, it's a TV program, came on every week, half-hour program. And it was the sheriff chasing Robin Hood, and Robin Hood was stealing from the rich people and giving it to the poor. So he said, are you tired of playing Robin Hood now? You know, in other words, because everybody knew I was sharing all the wealth, whatever I had. Because who would want to, that's another thing I had at that time. Because we used to call Oakland Paradise. When I go to LA, I was saying, hey, y'all want to go back up to Paradise with me, to Oakland. So sometime they would go and we'd have a good time. Because if they came up, especially if I had girlfriends down there, not sexual partners, but girlfriends, that was my friends. A lot of people don't have ladies that are friends of theirs. Well, I had, that's all I had was that kind of friend, because the other way you would go crazy. You know what I mean? Trying to I learned that quick. I just like to tell one thing, and I'll get back to this subject. But see, when I first got married, I moved down to a place out of our neighborhood. Like we way deep East Oakland, I moved down it was over 50, 60 blocks away. At that time, that's out of your neighborhood, 50, 60. Shoot, man, that was 80 blocks from where, and I was down there, nice apartment, everything, taking it easy. And then I got married at that time. And I didn't do no business. I had saved up a lot of money. I was very rich for those days. I had 2 Cadillacs, and I was rich. And I was 21, something like that. So I would just do about maybe one little something a day, so I wouldn't, maybe twice a day. No more than that, just to keep, so you wouldn't be spending up the money you saved. I'd be making, a little bit. So it comes a time when it hits you, it's time to jump back in. When that time hit, hey man, it hit it's like a period like now. When you get all the connections you want and everything is, hey, the brother is back. Well, anyway, so I got a place back out where, my area, that whole area would be considered mine. So, remember, I've been in jail most of my life, teenage life, preteen, and then after, So I was around men, and I got married, and so my son had come here, he said, that's not dangerous, but I said, that's right. Don't worry, I'm going to do this on the other, So it's just normal. If you can't do it where you are, you're going to do it somewhere else, and you're going to be out there and you're going to be managing. Now, this is when you getting rolling, and when you open up, you knocking the whole. This is when we became that big time stuff. Anyway, she was sad, and you're never here. Now, remember, I've been around men all my life, and I didn't know that people would say stuff. I say, you can't be at two places. If I'm over there, I can't be here. It's not hard, but I didn't know. I had no idea because I grew up around men, in penitentiaries. And I wouldn't be out long enough like I was out 16 till I was 17. Something like that. Had a little time to low ride in cars and all that. But I would go back. So I was around men all my life. So men can't say stuff like that. A man knows you can't be in two places at one time. And then the other thing is if you tell a brother, man, I'm gonna hustle, then man, I sure would like to get. So don't you worry. If I get me a new Benz, I'm gonna get you one too. And you bring your partner a brand new Benz, he would never ask a dumb question like, do you like me, or are you really my friend? But a girl, you done bought a house, all that stuff. Do you really love me? Well, hold it. That's the way to hold it. I can't, I couldn't, it was not, I wasn't used to that. And actually, I was petty violent for a minute. I was, because wait a minute, because I was thinking you're playing around with you playing, you just doing that. You can't, it's not real. It's not, how could I be here and there at the same time? If I'm not going to do it there, then I got to do it here. I got to do it. So it don't make no, how could I not? And then you said if I get you an airplane and a red carpet, you'll be happy. There's an airplane, there's a red carpet. I mean, I'm just, and you come home and people is crying. What are you crying? There's a color TV. There's all the people on there. There's wall-to-wall carpet here. There's a big, pretty car out there that technically is yours, and there's everything. And you said, if I do this, then you're going to be happy. And I thought it was real. So a few years ago when we used to live right back there. We used to live over on 8th Street. We used to live downstairs right there. And so I was told we had a place of our own. So I said, well, okay. The next one, we won't get it for nobody else. We'll keep it ourselves. So cathedral ceiling, just pretty nice. So now you ain't got nothing to say after that. No. And then people are sad. But I was already ready for that one. There wasn't no surprise. But anyway, let me go on. Strategic Command Center is right next door. What is this Strategic Command Center about? First, I'm going to do overseas, and then I'll do here. Because first, remember, we got to think about which direction is history going in. When we think about us and our place in history, right? When we think about the system, which way is it going? Is it going where we're on the ascendancy, and are they on the decline? You have to add it up. If whatever comes out, right? If we're pushing every button that says decline and the system is headed down, everything they've done in the last week is down. the Russians are going to invade Ukraine. And the Ukraine president said that's not true. And then they say, well, such and such. They said that ain't true. And then they got the real dumb man. I mean, he's a buffoon, in fact. The old man from Britain. Yeah, the Prince Philip just died, and they having parties. I mean, it's like partying when the Queen done died. Suppose in Britain, the Queen done died, and here's a person. They gonna have a party, right? Prince Philip, he was 99. Another week, he'd have been 100 years old, right? He been married to that woman since I was a child. It was 1950s, maybe the 1940s. I think they got married in the 40s because she became queen in 53. I mean, this girl has been there now long as, who was the other queen that was there a long time? She might have been there longer. The queen, what was the queen 150 years ago? She was queen for 62 years. Did anybody ever see the movie about the Queen and Abdul or something? What queen was? Anyway, she was queen a long time. And they just laughing that, the husband, well, Prince Philip, he just died. Now, it seems like that what we would be doing is a big job, but it's not a big job. It's not a big job because wherever we are, we've been closing the gap. Remember, the boss man we're fighting today or dealing with today is not the same one 10 years ago, 20 years ago, nor 30 years ago. The stuff we used to talk about 30 years ago, the people, when I first got here, would go in one ear and out the other. It still does, but it don't go as fast. You know why? Because boss man is not the same one. He's lost every war. He lost in Vietnam. He lost in Korea. Right? And when he tell it, it was a stalemate in Korea. When the Chinese, the biggest movie today is about Chosin, Changeling, they call it a reservoir. From the Chinese side, they said that's propaganda. Anyway, they're telling it from their side. We'll go and see about D-Day and everything else. It's all their side. Anyway, the direction in history, when you combine it with designed implementation, you can't say it's not true that we have actually designed and implemented things that we've been talking about here. We've done that. It just don't seem like it. But it seems like to us because just like all this stuff, we keep note and care, and they can't get rid of it because we got a flyer on what. So in 10 years, we'll say, look, this is what we said then, right? So we got as far as you go back, we got all the evidence about what we said. And now, okay, so I'll try to speed up. Here we are. We don't have the time, and Allah only knows the time that we have, and it's always been like that. But we have to have big goals. We have to really harness this vision right now. We have to inspire our people to develop a picture. What type of world would you like to live in? Right? And then what would it take to do that, to get it there? A few things we're going to talk about. First, it talks about Strategic Command Center. We're going to talk, believe it or not, about the greening of the Middle East. The greening of the Middle East. China has gotten very good in greening, the deserts. Read the developing forests. When you plant that stuff, right, then the plants hold all of that. Even if you just plant, farmers now are not plowing up a lot of their land. They're planting over the top of what's already there. That's why. Because all that stuff, if you plow it up, then everything is exposed to the sun. When it rains, it washes the soil away. When you got they're planting grass on the hillsides, grass everywhere, right? Because grass slows down, right? Some places in Africa, it can rain, and you go out there in 20 minutes, it's dry again. Why? Because the hills are rocky and they don't hold no water. But when it got grass on them, boys, it holds back the water and it soaks down. The trees, some trees use 57 gallons of water a day, but they have to hold all that water. And erosion, we used to hear the word erosion, but erosion means it washes everything away. So, China has been doing pretty good in that, but now they have to do bigger. They have to do better. And they have to aid and assist Africa more. And they have to cooperate with Middle Easterners. Iran has been doing a very good job. I started reading about it 40 years ago. Because Khavar Desert, they got deserts all over Iran. It's just big desert. They only got a certain amount where you get, up in the north, you get rain, you get that, and the rest is desert. So Iran is having the same problem they're having in Arizona. And they're having the great Uguala Aquifer up there in Nebraska and all that. And it's about 3 or 4 gallons down there left. This boss man had used up all of that water that's been there for a zillion years. And in Arizona, that water, they're having cave-ins because the water was holding it up and things are caving in. You know what I mean? All right. That's not only happening in Arizona, not only happening in Nebraska and all that, but it's happening in Iran. So Iran has been getting better at using water, but it has to get even better. And they can copy the best water user in the region, the drip system, from the Israelis, right? The drip system. They don't use up a whole lot of water because they ain't got a whole lot. They just steal all the water they got. They done stole it from the Palestinians, right? And you plant trees, and the trees help hold the land together. They help not only produce fruits or whatever, but it holds things together, right? And it brings those trees and all that, and bushes and all that, bring clouds. And it makes it rain right there, and it holds it back. Okay. America is not willing to do that right now. But we're going to have to influence China to do. Why do we say China? China has a reasonable record in Africa. Plus, if you take 100% of China, China uses 6 and 4, or 60% of China is out there desert and they don't use it. And then they got on this side tons of water. The Yangtze, they did that big dam. They done built the Three Gorges Dam. Those are the biggest dams in the world. Okay, So China have to move upstream and pump water up to certain points, build canals, what? So the water will roll down to the other 60% of China. You see what I mean? And China is already good. They at replanting forests and hey, they're doing a good job. But they got to do a better job. And they got to do it faster. While they're doing that, they have to teach Africans, Middle Easterners, they have to teach them because everybody's doing good. They got to do good, good, good. They got to do it in a hurry. It's what some of our biggest cities in the Middle East, India, and other places use sewer water, treated sewer water for agriculture. Yeah. Have different pipes. Send out like all this water that we use here in D.C. You can't say you don't have no water. Treat that water and make it not where it's good enough to drink. But if you did take a drink of it, you can clean it where it's good enough to drink. It's just sewer water, right? And you pump it out and use it for agriculture. That's in those places, those big cities like Cairo and all of that. Reprocess everything. Sewers, sewer treatment, right? Use that, pump that water back out for agriculture. Yeah, pump it back out for agriculture. Make the world green again, fast. Because remember, the plants suck up carbon dioxide, and put out oxygen. Right? So, okay. You said, man, you can't even clean up your backyard, and you talk, well, we'll get to our backyard in a minute. We're going backwards today. So China would train Africans and Middle Easterners to rebuild, reconstruct, for instance, the new cities, the things that were destroyed, like Baghdad is destroyed, like Mosul is destroyed, like all of Syria is destroyed in rubble, right? The rebuilding, not on the old style. This is where China come in. Teach those people and train those people, and they rebuild their own cities. Well, what water do they use? They can take water out of the big rivers that's left, but they grow everything with treated water. And all the new buildings are not those big old houses made out of sod and brick. And the roofs, see, when the roof crush in on you over there, you just buried alive. That's why so many people die. They use what they have. They use bricks. And over the top of them, they have bricks. The houses in California are more like we have lumber, not these houses back here. You look out there, brick, 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 brick. Well, what's wrong with brick? Shake it a little bit and it crumbles, right? They don't have earthquakes here. They can use bricks. They have earthquakes out there. You can't use bricks. Use all of your knowledge of what. So therefore, out there or wherever, we're going to build things in certain areas out of non-destructive, non-flammable, all of that, right? type of stuff that we can put together. Okay, seawater is rising, desalinization. Just take all the salt out of it. And China have even got big steps in saltwater rice, that good rice we have down there. Now they grow saltwater rice. It don't be as much salt as what they grow saltwater. All they do is work with it and work with it, and pretty soon, saltwater rice. They have to spread that technology, which they will. And if it don't make no difference, people in Pakistan will run over and steal a few packages of rice and go back and plant it. I mean, what you gonna do, sue us? That's like them big white companies. They sue Indians. Anyway, it's a lot of stuff that's going on. They sue the people are committing suicide because what's them big old companies, Monsanto and all of them. Yeah, they'll sue you. They say, and don't let, even if some, you got your property and the birds eat your stuff and then they drop a few seeds. And then if your corn right next to their corn and it happens to be, they'll sue you. I didn't plant that stuff. The birds planted it and then the wind blew it. And anyway. The reason this stuff is, see, right now, we're living, we can't trust the West to do anything right. They're not and it's not, here's why, they're on a decline. All that stuff about Thucydides traps and all that, 90% of it is real. It's actually real. So we have to relate to the people on the ascendancy. So when we say China and Africa, that means China, you help Africa with solar, you help this and that, and then go back home. Don't stay in China. In fact, the people you got there now, send them home. This is paradise here. You just throw the stuff out the window, that's why you got to go. You got to go back home because it's for the Africans. And if you want something from them, they say, you have to go back home. This thing Chinamans have to get in they didn't do a good job for themselves, and they're not bad. They're much better than white folks. But when you start getting big, you start getting a little the shaitan work on you, easy. So that means everything now has the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, and you got to remember, all our team is coming up. All our team is coming up. No matter how mean they're treated, the brothers in Lebanon, they assassinated a while ago. They said the same thing, we're not going to fight you. They know it was a Christian phalanx assassinated Hezbollah, right? They said, we ain't going to do that. They're doing just like we do. We've been teaching that lesson. You don't know whether they learned it from us or they just had enough sense to do it on their own. So our things, and then our brothers in Yemen, hey man, you got to, if you take your hat off, I'm telling you, they are doing a wonderful job and look like they're going to be here. Look like the Saudis and the Emiratis look like they've lost. They just got a bill in there now to get rid of the Zionists from the African states thing they was today. Because Zionists was everywhere. They thought they was on a roll. But now everything is coming back. I'm telling you, what we do here, the world that we want to see, we have to help make it. And we've been planning for this for decades. If anybody remember what we've been saying, we have to put ourselves in a position because the rest of the world will not be on the same level as us in akhlaq and ethics, right? And once you start getting power, the biggest thing after that is ethics. Is how you use it. Okay, ethics means, it's simple, we talk about it all the time. If the environmentalists and all those have been held up by big white companies and these, that, okay. When they get a little power, you know what I mean? They start remembering, hey man, you guys was in the way and it wasn't necessary. They think that way a while. Then after a while, they have white folks, good white folks, sniper teams, killing bad white folks that need to be killed, but you can't do them at that time. This new world of global harmony, it's going to take people who have went through the change and have evolved. And I feel that when we was assaulted in Oakland by a common Negro, they just sent pictures here today. If you look at his pictures, I'll send them to you. Those pictures suggest sorrow, sadness, and if to be 51 or 52 and look like you're 300 years old and it shows in your face, something ain't went right. And you sending stuff here to see we're happy. Listen to this, James Brown, right? That's what they sent. We're happy. You look at the other people on the wrist, what is it? Hospital thing. Mukhtar didn't had diabetes for a long time. Yeah, he looks like, diabetes acts different on some people. You lose a foot, some people, and you don't know, that might be the reason that people do that bad stuff to get their family set. Bad decision. You trust people that's been treating you right already before you trust boss man. But him and what's his name used to live right on, they all trust boss man. They don't trust black people. Okay. They get a chance to learn though. So he's laying there, and maybe it's that I would pick it up, but I'm not picking up all, and he's sitting there with the rifle like to do such and such. And he looks, I'm 77 years old. Well, I will be in 3 or 4 days. He looks older than I am. And remember, when they assaulted me, I was sitting down. And he got 5 or 6 good whacks in from behind. Because if you see on the video, I'm sitting there reading. And they attacked me when I was sitting down. And they really attacked me, and I was old at that time. And you know how hard it is to get up. So I didn't try to get up. I just pulled him to me and pulled him down. And he couldn't get away. He couldn't get away. But that leave Khadijah, my head wide open, right? For her to just imagine now somebody that weighed 300 pounds has got a rod and whacking you. That's why I look so bad. There's so much blood. I mean, they can, what they used to call haul off. That means they can whack, and didn't do nothing. That was the reason. The reason for that, they don't know what the reason was for. For the Lebanese was for their people to get shot. For me, it was for me to go through that and still maintain the attitude. That's what it was for. It don't make no difference what they think it was for. For me, I know what it was for. Why? Because we're going to have to teach that to the world that we're involved in. We're going to have to teach that. See, it ain't nothing. It seems when Allah got you slotted for something, they can't pull you out of that slot. All they can do is aid it and help it along a little bit. Well, they technically can't do that, but I'm just telling you, where we are today, everything that's surrounding us, the number of people here today is for a good reason. Let me speed up and keep on. So the greening of the Middle East, that means the world that we're living in, it has to be restructured. You can't restructure America and the big companies because they have to sell more cars, right? They have to make more cars, right? So they can't say, hey, we're not going to build no more cars for 10 years, right? They can't do that. Some other places could. China could do it. Russia could do it. Well, they could mess around with it, but why? New forms of transportation. More people have to get out and walk. Walk to the store. We never walked. We used to carry everything in bags. Now people weigh 700 pounds. Why? They don't walk. They don't walk. If somebody go to that store right on the corner, they don't walk there. They get in the car, start up and drive to the store. They may drive around the block 3 times to get a parking space, but they don't walk to the store. We just have to do new systems. They got all these carts. Well, take them little things that make them where they can't go nowhere and put bigger wheels on them so people can push their carts all over America. And you have them trucks come around and pick them up, like they pick up them bicycles and all of that now that you rent, right? So all they do is pick up all the stuff, little simple stuff. And people walk. Once you get to walking and throw away all the little push button stuff for the TV, do you know people don't get up to turn the TV? Can you imagine? I'm telling you, and then my kids got all of that new stuff. You don't have to do that, Dad. And then they put it through the phone, and the phone is on the TV. And I said, who wants to do that? I said, what about just click the button, Dad? I said, I gotta turn the TV. I'm not used to that. Sitting there, I don't even know how to. You want me to push a damn button to change the television? This is ridiculous. And they don't know how to change it other than change it. They don't know what. They don't even have knobs now more. They got a little button on the side. They don't have knobs like you change the channel. No, they don't have it. You can't. You can't. They gonna make you get fat, right? The stuff they got now makes you, like I don't know. I'm not gonna complain. I mean, my people called me to pick them up and take them somewhere. I said, when we was grown, we never. It would be crazy to call your parents and first of all, they didn't drive much, but you wouldn't call your parents to. I have to go and pick up something. Go pick it up. You mean walk? Can you imagine? And I, the little gym I got there, I built it for the family, so we'd take a little run. When they was younger, they would listen a little bit. So we'd run a little bit in the park, and then somebody got to their mind and told them I didn't know nothing about physical fitness, and that a little bit of we'd work out a little bit of weights. I said, now if you just do some deadlifts and a couple of more, that's all y'all got to do. For girls, if you can, you know what I mean, have that strength to push people, you know what I mean, you doing deadlifts, you're going to get, so, you'll take care of anybody that's bothering you. You take care of them real well. I just tell you a little joke. My grandson and, what's the name of son? Huh? Saturdays, they went to this supposed been mean Negro school over there, Spengar. So they was about 15. They used to be working out. They worked out every day in the bag and hit the bag and lift weights. And the people was thinking they're nice guys, they're gonna get a lot of trouble. They was whooping so many niggas over there because they all drank and they did everything, and all they did was, man, when you cut loose on somebody, they feel the pressure, you know what I mean? When somebody bam bam hit you like that, and they drinking wine and smoking dope and all that, they feel, hey man, they feel that. So I say, you don't have to worry about them. They got them guys covered, and they did. They was two innocent looking guys. Oh, well, they look innocent while they here, but I don't know what. Anyway, so China trained Africans and remake the Middle East, rebuild, reconstruct new cities. All the cities that's destroyed, all those cities in Iraq that's destroyed, all those cities that have been destroyed in Yemen, all those cities that are destroyed in Iraq, and all those cities that are destroyed in Syria. And we might as well put Libya into it. Because you remember, everything they do destroys. If they destroy Libya, that means they destroyed the king of Africa that had $34 zillion in gold, and they don't have it anymore, right? And Gaddafi used to keep people down there because he was helping them, right? All right, so now the people come from all over the world. They either are crazy, which they are, and they don't think about the future. So if they destroy Libya and make it a racist state where the Africans, black Africans are hated, but you know what I mean? That's the way it is, okay? It wasn't there when Gaddafi. Gaddafi was, they called him the king of Africa. You could get money. Gaddafi gave Negroes money here since over 50 years ago. Yeah, he gave Negroes money here for over 50. Okay, but the point is the exact same thing that they wanted to not do, they did it. So they destroyed all the Middle East, they destroyed Afghanistan, they have been destroying Pakistan, and they're destroying all that, and the people go down to Libya, get on those raggedy boats, and come across the Mediterranean Sea and drown. And they have millions of when I was in Europe, it was Europe. EU mean caves and hillsides and a rope to bind there. In other words, it was Europeans there. It was Europeans in Europe. And if you saw somebody of color, it was because they came from a colony. In England, they had a few Jamaicans. And Amsterdam, they had a few people from Indonesia and places like that. In Germany, to rebuild Germany, they had, you'd get on the bus and all the people on the bus would be Turks. Because Germany and the Ottoman Empire in World War I was friends, allies. So they remembered that. So when they wanted to rebuild Germany after it was destroyed, they brought people from Turkey. And probably 10%, no, that was 40 years ago. 40 years ago, 10% of the children in schools was of Turkish origin. But now they done just floated. They got Negroes, real Nigerian Negroes in Germany and all them other places. They got, Europe is not, hey, Europe, what people used to think about Europe, it's colored up. And guess who have all the children? The people with pigmentation. Therefore, it won't be long that Europe will not be the same Europe. Technically, it's not now. It's not now. It's not anything like. You can go when you're in Europe. If you want to, I mean, we have different views. So, if you go back 30 years ago, I was giving lectures on how beautiful it is that y'all have it here in London. You got whole neighborhoods, and you drive down the street. I said, it's people wearing, the kids going to school wearing hijab. Yeah, but they didn't like it. The Muslims in Europe, we're ghettoized. We have Muslim ghettos. We want to be. I said, you got it going on. I said, the Lord ain't big over here no more. They said all the churches, the Anglican churches, are turning into Masjid. That was then. Now it's just, hey man, it's been flipped. So you think about it. Europe is darkening up, and the people that get there now are happy to get there. But their children, when they study history, like the children here, if you notice the children in the universities, the young, whether they're Arab or the Indo-Pakistanis that are afraid of us, their children in the universities now. They're not afraid because they feel we're Americans and your laws are wrong. And Black Lives Matter, whatever they think, is good. And you see what I mean? That means the young children now coming through the universities are not the one that was coming through before. They were happy to be here. Now the children are not happy to be. They didn't read the Declaration of Independence, and they've been raised in a hold it. You can't do that to us, right? And the numbers are changing. And remember, everything that's happening in America is happening in Europe. California now is not a state of, it's not a white majority state anymore. And I don't see how it could be with all the people that used to be there and it belonged to them anyway. California, they stole it from Mexico. And now the Mexicans said years ago, we didn't cross the border crossed us. And reconquista. Anybody know what that means? The reconquest, that's a done deal. That's already done. They don't have to make that as a plan. That is done. That's a done deal. Okay. So we're not planning for, excuse me. Assalamu alaikum.
How are you?
Very good, alhamdulillah.
Where have you been?
Where have I been? I've been right around here.
Oh, okay. I stopped by the Masjid last week, but I see the lock. You changed the lock, is it?
You stopped by the Masjid last week?
Yeah, you changed the lock. I think the lock now is different, eh?
I don't think I think it's the same. I'm having a class right now. But anytime you want to get in the masjid, just call me. The same number?
Yeah, because I remember last time you told me just pull the lock and go come inside and pray and then.
That's right, because it was unlocked, right? And you came in and prayed, right?
Yeah, it was locked. It was not coming off.
Well, all you had to do, the number you just called, you just call that number and we'll make sure you can get in.
So you have a basement and the top floor over there, right?
We have a who?
Why don't you start like daycare for the basement over there, brother, for the community?
Start a daycare for the basement. Don't worry. We're talking about all of that right now.
You talk about that?
We're talking about that exact thing, how to use the basement, how to use all of our other property around here.
Yeah, I think that can be helpful over there for the community and bring more people to the masjid.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we sure appreciate your call.
Yeah, inshallah. I'll stop by again this week over there.
Okay. We'll be happy to see you. Well, anyway. So, the greening of China, train Africans, Middle East. Okay, New World. Everywhere in the world, there are certain things needed. Okay, we're entering into that mix. We've been in the mix all along, but we go through different phases. Sometimes we're right in the mix. Sometimes you come by here, school is running, this is running, all of that. And other times, white man turned the key and he said, cut that out. Okay. And you got to remember that we are under, we're in the U.S. You got everybody and everything, right? So we have to have sense. In order for us to have this masjid all paid for, we got to have sense. In order for us to have property, we got more property than anybody around, right? Muslims. Way more. Okay? So you might say, yeah, but it's all empty. It's empty now, but we're going to use it as management centers, organizations, and in order to get it, we had to manage him. We had to make him feel comfortable at what he was doing. So if we have a school here, as long as he feels the teachers are mine, the is mine, then you can do that. Because they're going to get, you got to make them think that what they're doing is for their benefit. We did that so many times, it's like a joke. That's why they was trying to take the property back in California, because some of the property we had fundraiser funds, and they felt like they put in more than we did. That's what they was saying. That's why Mukhtar and them was doing what they was doing. That's why Mukhtar told Abdul Malik, you quit too quick. You know, in other words, you gave a I quit thing, you know, It was too fast. So Mukhtar's goal all of this time was to show them, you let me do this. That's what his whole thing was. Of course, I knew it. You let me do this, I'll show you. So the first things he wanted to do was disrespect for Imam Musa. I'm going to take stuff and I'm going to make you get mean. And he did none of that. He did it, but it didn't work. None of it worked. That's why they're who they are. Why would we allow people that can't hardly read and write? Oh, this is our crew. This is our crew. I might talk just for a while. But if they say anything crazy, I'm going. Assalamu alaikum.
You still talk?
No, that's okay. That's huh?
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
If they was if they had a huge impact, they would not be watching you. They watching you now. They just all over you. They know how much of a threat you are.
They know, and they're not accepting our rules. We want to help fix it. They've known this, whatever they know, they've been knowing it for 50, they knew it when I was in prison because they know who people, they said it in California in 83, this group of snitches, they said, yeah, well, where have you been, you always rise to the top. That means they have the record. There's kids at little institutions. You get there, you're just waving at everybody. Pretty soon, you're running that. That's the pattern. Okay, they see you get into this, the pattern. They see you go to South America, it's a pattern. It's a pattern. They see we come into this now. When we come here to D.C., it wasn't nothing happening. All the Masjid had closed down. All the black centers had closed down and went to the Islamic Center, and then they really closed them down. And then they're older and too disorientated, so they didn't build no more new African American centers. Yeah, but since we came and we just got busy. We asked them, where's it, D.C.? Don't nobody want to, Southeast, man, that's the worst place in the world. Well, that's where we're going. And then you look on the map, it's called low density. In those days, low density. That means you couldn't find no vacant lots hardly in Northwest, right? But out here, there's vacant lots everywhere. And low density, in other words, is crazy out here. A kid could get up all day and never see a white person for weeks right here in D.C. Just a little kid. They could go to school, they'd never, that's the way it was. I said, that's where we want to be. No, it's not like that. Nowhere is like that anymore. Okay, you take California. You take L.A., that's where we had 2 big crews in L.A., and of course you know about Oakland. Look at Oakland. Look at the punishment. Now remember, we said over 10 years ago, we're going to take credit. Remember we said we're going to take credit for the stuff that happened. That this happens to you because of us. California is getting ready to slide off into the ocean. I mean, I'm just joking, but I mean, look, it's finished. Good God Almighty, I'm scared to go out there. You ever see? It's like I look at Oakland and I have to look, and because you drive a lot on the streets, and so I start watching the street signs, to see where is that. Where is that? I want to see what street that is. Not by the buildings, which everybody knows, oh, that's so-and-so, that's Seminary Avenue, that's that, because of the buildings. But now, it was bad when I left, but I've been back here for a couple and a half years, something like that. It's unbelievable. They say it's 2.5 times worse than when I was there, if that's possible. Evidently it is. Okay, now, about us. We've already, we've mastered our environment. We're not victims of the environment. We're right now, so we don't have no money, so that's no problem. We'll get it, But we got bills we got to pay. So all of a sudden, everybody's coming around. Now nobody's coming around. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference because people think this is the worst job in the world, but technically it's the best. For the Muslims, this is the best job. If you don't think go to Yemen. Go to Lebanon. There's a winter over there too. Sit up in there and freeze to death. Go to Iraq, your whole place is destroyed twice. Go to Syria, everything is destroyed. All your people, we got it good here. That's the way I feel. I think this is wonderful. It's wonderful, all it is. And they selling wolf tickets, they can't do nothing to us. We're doing it to them. They're the ones nervous about us. And we're telling them, you got to cooperate with us. We're not cooperating with you because you're bad. You're not good. That's the language. We're telling them that. And we've been telling them that. You want to get on this bus, we're driving this bus. We're not carrying it nowhere where it's going to hurt nobody. But you got to get on our bus. In other words, you got to join with us. We're not going to join with you because we're not going to do Sharpton. We're not going to do them niggas. We don't do that. You got to join with us because you're bad. You can't help yourself. Right? They can't help, doing what they do. They got to do it. Okay, we got to do what we got to do, and that's not we're not cooperating. That's been our song for over a decade here. We understand what you understand. We understand this, that, and other, but we're not cooperating. You have to, if it's a thing of submission or cooperate, you got to cooperate with us. We're not cooperating with you. That's our message to Boss Man. You can go to hell. We're not cooperating with them. We're not doing it because they're bad, right? And I'm not bragging, but we have ethics. You didn't see it. We have ethics, things that we stick to. And everybody has to know that because during this period, this in process right now, we're going to be the ones that's trusted. That's why we do what we have to do. That's why we do what we do. So that everybody that don't trust nobody will trust us. That's what we're shooting for. But whatever they are, they're going to trust us. And if they don't, that's their business. That's what we're moving for. They haven't been able to do nothing to break the trust factor. Negroes chase girls, not me. They ain't got a Negro in the world that was 15 years celibate. I don't think so. Especially on the African continent. Them boys got hot stuff. That's all they think life was about. And all the girls, I've asked some of the girls who are close by here. They'll say, yes, our job in the All African Revolutionary People's Party was to entice the brothers. That was their job. That was their job. That was their job. And they tell you, just when they think that it don't fit a certain way, but we didn't get here last week. We know what to tell them, so they say it to somebody else, so it come back to us. So we know how much juice they have with Iranians that's running things now. Why? Because we didn't test them. We test them all the time. It's too bad. Okay, for us, this is easy. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. Nothing. This is not hard. Okay. The UN harnessed that for reconstruction of the world we're living in now. Harness that energy for as much as we can. Selling good to the UN. That's what it's supposed to be built for, right? Have to harness it for the good. If they harness it in contradistinction to evil like it is now, the Zionists control it, the Americans control it, right? And they can make war anywhere they want. But everything comes to an end, and the people of the world are not happy. Everything is moving toward the surface. Your kids don't go to war. Who wants to fight? right? And get killed and blown up, right? And so the things that worked for their colonial attitude in the past is not working now. And in the future, it's going to be bigger. Now, that's part of the part we're going to play in this is developing institutions to help conscientize the American people. We have to befriend the American people. We have to befriend them. Because definitely Bezos and all them people are not befriending them, right? So now it's easy to show that, hey, we're your friend, not them. They said we'd do bad, what bad we do? Show us one or two things. And then all the stuff is coming out on the news. 28 pages missing from Saudi Arabia, stuff like that. And warmongers. Nobody would be dumb enough to do what they talking about on the news today, yesterday. Russia has brought 100,000 people up to whatever that border is, right? And the president's, huh? Of course in their own country, but the president of, what's the name of the country next door? Ukraine says, nothing's happening over here. What is all this about? Right? That's what, have you heard that on the, and the U.S. is saying, no, they're doing this. It's like the Muslims say, no, everything is fine in Uyghur land in China. No Muslims are saying that the Chinese are treating them bad. And the law is in Uyghur land, you can have all the children you want because you're a minority. Since you're not Han Chinese, you can have 6 barrels of children, and it's okay because you're a minority.
It seems that America is saying, if you don't believe what we tell you, you're on that team. Just like they're saying, just like the Israelis say, or the Zionists say, you say anything against them, you're anti-Semitic. So it seems like America is using the same strategy that any your reporter question what America tells you, okay, that you must support Russia.
Yeah, the little boy that cried wolf, woof, 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 here coming the wolf. Pretty soon the wolf is really coming and nobody believes him. This is the way America and the Zionists, today, the Zionists are being kept out of Africa. 2 weeks ago, looked like they was in like Flint. Things are changing. Okay, all the stuff we've been talking about for years, all of that stuff is either past history or is moving on by. Okay, let me try to speed up. So invite the West in cooperating with rebuilding what they have destroyed. Can you imagine they destroyed Iraq? I mean, some of our greatest places, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon is gone. I mean, all of that. All the fossils, all the stuff that they had, the people were selling them on the market. The Roman cities in Syria, and all of that. All those things are gone. And everybody in Iraq is saying that the U.S. did a bad job. The Christians, right? The others, everybody is on our team. We just have to manage ourselves better. In each place, we have to have a better character. We have to have better character. Okay. Blockades runners, we'll talk about that soon. But, technically our people are already doing blockade running. If they wasn't, nobody would be getting it. They doing it, they've been doing it. But make it more solidified. Let's see. We have laid the groundwork for this mission. And it's our picture of ourselves, our picture of our own self. Who we are, we have to stabilize that picture about who we are. We're not the guy that they talking about we are, right? We're not just dancers and we get a couple of dollars, we spend it all on bling bling. Just imagine, the story is already prepared. Our story is already prepared. Wait till America hears about what we have already done. We're here. They did that. They did that. They did it. It's all on paper. I got 8 arrest records in the Masjid in Oakland. And copies everywhere. Well, even if I went to court, I could subpoena their copy of my arrest record in Oakland. And they don't have nothing to do with none of that. All the things that they've done, when you get a bank account in your name, can't nobody come and put somebody else on that. If they do, the bank is wrong. And if you got $100,000 in your bank, you can probably get, I don't know how many billion, we're going to sue them for 300 million. We'll start there. Yeah, why not? The anguish that they caused us in our poor community in D.C., well, we put all that money in the bank. And they gave it to the people in Oakland. They gave it to them. How? Where did it? What's going on? We can't lose. We can't lose, and we'll go back there when we get ready. We'll go there when we get ready. And we used to call Mukhtar and Khadijah and them crackpots. But the way Mukhtar looks is getting, he's looking older than I am. You see how scraggly he's looking? And he's got a hospital band. Maybe he's doing it on purpose to show that some dialysis, something they had to do. And one part of it is looking a little muscular. The other part, he's looking thin as a rail. And you can't fool your face if your face looks sad and stupid. You see his face? That bald cap on, he looks sad and stupid. We're going to help him. Why? Because that's the kind of niggas we are. Basically, we good niggas. That's who we are. We help niggas. Even though they're not brilliant, we're not going to call people stupid and stuff like that. We just say you evolve slow. And, but we will assist you in whatever you need and psychological development, whatever we can help with. That's who we are. That's our job. We have to that's the job for us. That's where it was headed all the time. Nobody else even thought about that's where we was headed. That's why, okay. This is the time, USA, London, low tide, everything, USA, Trump, Britain, Boris, the clown, whatever it is. Tell the truth. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Almost we don't need no help. All we got to do is just stay around for a couple of more weeks. Right? I mean, a few more years. But remember, they used to say it in the Jahiliyyah. When one nigga is going up, another one is coming down. So y'all immediately, because they had us on this yo-yo. So on the way up, you was getting big. Yeah, I'm Big Tony. I do this, that, and other. I got diamond rings. Da, 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 da. You little niggas, y'all little niggas. And the worst thing in the world is a little nigga. That's the way people used to talk. And we was in that environment where you tried to make people feel small and yourself feel big. I said, man, this is cold-blooded. But anyway, we're going to use all that. Self-esteem. Esteem, how you weigh and measure things. Self-esteem, how you weigh and measure yourself. How you feel about yourself. The world we dreaming about and thinking about, we can do it. That's what we're going to give it a try. Why not? The stuff we have already done, nobody else has gotten close to it. I'm talking about history. Booker T. Washington. We did in Oakland what King wanted to do in Chicago in 1968, the same year. We was doing it in Oakland. But Chicago was different. Oakland was just the right size. At certain times, the right thing at the right place in the right time, bam, and it clicks. That's the way Oakland was during that period. That's why Oakland is a small place. There's, let's say, 300,000-400,000 people in Oakland. How is it the main and all the literature? It was that way, and why they make the Mac there, all the pimps and everybody from the Midwest, everything was focused on Oakland, not just because there's an army base there, and if you got girls out there, make a little, but Oakland, the cultural, Pullman Porters, they settled in Oakland. Why? Because the Transcontinental Railway came all the way to San Francisco, but it couldn't go across the bridge. You got off the train in Oakland. That's why Oakland was black. Pullman Porters, they built the whole area around the train station called West Oakland. The war industry came and people moved from the South. Can you imagine you making, in the 60s, if you was making $2 or $3 an hour, or $3 an hour in the West and in the North, in 65 in Mississippi, you still made $2 a day. Yeah, $2 per day in Mississippi. And you got more money on welfare. They were saying they bringing all these kids. I remember in 59, there was one lady, she got $400 or something on welfare in 59. She had 10 kids. Well, what if she was from down in Dixie? It would be insane to stay down in Dixie and starve to death. Go out to California, and shoot, you get $400. That was big money in them days. Because Coca-Cola was a nickel or 5 or something. Candy bar was 10 cents. Now they're $1.50 or something. I don't know. Anyway, let me speed up. This is the time. The U.S., London, low tide. USA, Trump, Britain, Boris the Clown. The clown. Can you imagine how bad the British people feel that this clown just showing his behind and having parties? And Prince Philip dies. He's been there long as his wife has. And she's been there since 53 as the queen. Good God Almighty, that's anybody's lifetime, right? 1953, you know when that was? 53 was Dien Bien Phu. Anybody know Dien Bien Phu? Dien Bien Phu. Vietnam. The French, defeated. Yeah, that's 53. That's 53. That was like so far back, nobody even, you have to be a historian to know where is it at? What did it do? Okay, dream of our world, maximum use of human potential for good. Okay, if we think like that, if we believe like that, then that's what we'll do. Okay, we have to do that in front of everybody so everybody can see it works. You could do it. Everybody have to survive. We survived everything the government can throw at you for all of these years. So there's no excuse. Nobody can say, can't be done. They can't do that. They might say it, but it's not real because we've done it. And not only did it, but we did it with an attitude. Not mad, not paranoid. You know what I mean? Not mean. Let me just read a few more things. Rubicon, we're going to do more fundraisers. In fact, technically, we're having a fundraiser today if anybody want to drop anything. Sabiqun, Beyond Malcolm, high goals bring the best out of the Negro. That's our job. Everybody else is misleading them and bringing dumb stuff out of them. If you see them on the movies, it's what's these movies they have, TV programs where the Negroes acting a big fool, where they own everything and empire, stuff like that. If you even get closer that they'll make this nigga mad, that nigga mad. They did it all our life. And then the East Coast rappers be killing the West Coast rappers. How they think all our guys got knocked off. They just came in with, and spread rumors. Well, I got to kill that nigga. So the East Coast rappers killing the West Coast rappers and vice versa. That's what Tupac was getting too much sense. That's why they said we'd kill that nigga. Yeah, have another nigga kill him. Right? And that's what they do. They ain't worked with us. Now imagine when we laying all of that out to the people. Do not imagine us right now where boss man can pull this and pull that and cut the thing off and can't nobody hear. There will come a reasonable time, within reasonable time, when we will be getting our message out loud and clear at the right time and the right place. Let's see. So, tafweed is when you delegate all of your life to Allah, tafweed. And rida, we've talked about it before, right? We said radiyallahu anhu, that, you're pleased with. Rida means well pleased. You're pleased with what Allah give you. We just happy as a lark with what Allah done hooked us up with. It's not just because it don't feel lonely that everybody's dead and gone and the people are still around. They're a little nervous. Everybody have their time and they do it. Now we have our time and we're going to do what longevity has its place. That's what King said. I always heard that. Longevity, and I liked what we talked to. Pete O'Neill used to talk about, when he talked about Chairman Mao, he said that is a protracted struggle. Protracted, long range, out over a long period of time. When you stretch stuff out so long, things get recycled and the recycled don't even know they're being recycled. Only you know, because what the people do, what the people act is recycled. And then Boss Man is a serious record keeper. Like, the things that got the Germans in all that trouble is everybody that they killed, they kept their name and they kept records, you know what I mean? Real good records. The slave master over here, he didn't keep no records like that. He put the niggas with the horses and the pigs. You remember that? If they wanted to find out who was who, back in slavery days, you couldn't go and look in the family tree of the white folks. You would go and look at, we got 6, 7 cows. We got another cow named Callie. No, that's a lady. And then we got Hezekiah the Negro, right? It's not a horse, it's a person. And they got a little check by that. It means this is a nigger. And the other Hezekiah is a horse, right? I'm just saying that's the way, Now, if you know that, you're not spooked by it. Let me speed up. Nonviolent resistance, remember. And people do stuff. It's the people, when they call and they talking crazy, they trying to make you mad, right? They're stupid. They just say, you better put some sweetening on that, what you're telling me I better do. I don't better do nothing. But I'm not mad at them. I'm not bad at them because they don't know any better. They really don't know any better. And it's my job to teach them what's better and give them a big hug because they're repressed. Yeah, they don't have, you can see, they don't have good sense. After all that, they still calling me right in the middle of a program. It's insanity. And then, remember when I was in court and I said, do such and such a thing. Remember when I was calling you after I left the court in California? So, yeah, all right. Now, here's the nigga saying I'm bothering him and he's sending me this thing and he's sitting there holding a rifle. With all this stuff typed in, you better do this, you better do that. I could have beat all this stuff before, but I just saved it, take my time. But you can download this all you want and send it to anybody. So we'll have it extra stuff. Yeah, okay. Archivists, I hate to mention this again. Archivists, to have the archives, to have the record. Documentalists, the documentation of all of this stuff. Chronicle is something you write, but a chronicle is also the record of. And historical. Our message, boss man is not invincible. Nonviolent resistance, East Oakland Enterprise, economic, This is something you haven't heard in a while, a few months, maybe a few years. Domesticated the system. We domesticated, like train the system. It makes no difference whether you believe it or not, but I'm sure it's easy to believe we've domesticated the system. We have clowned the system, or we'll continue to clown him. And we're clowning. And boss man is one thing, but the Zionists, we got his number better than we do boss man, although boss man been here all the time. That's rare, but we don't lose nothing when we deal with the Zionists. Nothing. Never have. We just slap them around, and that's who everybody else is scared of. So imagine how happy we make the people. Because see, like the Hadith say, just satirize the enemy. Satirize the enemy. Be like shooting arrows in them. Take fear out of them. Yeah, that's what we do. We satirize everybody, boss man, but it's easy. It's playing the dozens. It's something that Allah gave us. We can do it and it don't bother us. Like if they say, Imam Musa, you got 2 heads. So what? Like playing the dozens. Your mama will wear croaker sack drawers and high-heeled tennis shoes, stuff like that. Right? Well, that used to be pretty bad along there. Can you imagine? Now they do have high-heeled tennis shoes. In those days, they were just something that, you would say, And now they got them. Red tennis shoes, and those, where would you get red tennis shoes at? They got them now. Ben had them. Okay, I won't go over this whole little list here, but I will mention that as of now, this thing like to-do list, this is a to-do list, everybody should have one, things to do. A lot of the stuff that we talked about today goes on our to-do list. So when you go to bed at night, you fill out your to-do list, or you do it early in the morning. But it's best to do it at night. So when you wake up, you zoop and you just get going. That's a to-do list. I just want to mention again post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth. We have turned this and we have studied this for a long time. We just mentioned it not long ago. But post-traumatic growth is different than post-slavery syndrome and post-something. What do they call that? Post-traumatic stress disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, or something like that. Okay. Now, we have post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth. That even from those tragedies, you can grow. We have used all of them to grow. Okay. Fun, childish, da 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 da. Outside Juma, we'll put that on the. But remember, we've always had that on the list, doing Juma outside. But remember, it's 2 or 3 of us here. We can't do everything, but we will be able to. Okay. Outside Juma. Push public hearings for Congress, White House. All this stuff that's happening, we'll push it. And eventually they'll have to start having open hearings on it. And they got open hearings. They had open hearings on everything. But this is a harassment more. Push spring offensive, what it looks like. Again, we started this offensive in the winter. People do a spring offensive because it's going to be nice weather, except for the wet roads, you know what I mean? But if you got big super highways, that's a great offensive. But if it's in the old days, spring offensive would get you ready for a big, technically, summer offensive. You would have to have the summer offensive over before winter. And this was 2 big historical problems. Both of them was in the same place. Can anybody guess what it was? Stalingrad. Napoleon in Russia and Hitler in Russia. Both of them was bad, but they picked too big a place at the wrong time. They did exactly the wrong thing. This is the way America is now. They're like they've incorporated Hitlerianism into their behavior. No, the Zionists have incorporated Hitlerianism. They operate 100% like the Zionists. I mean, like the Nazis. Okay, they're getting the same thing. They're getting the same thing. They had a little blessing to go along with them to keep them afloat for a minute, but okay. Spring offensive, summer. So a winter offensive is for our training. You have to stand out there in the cold, teeth chattered and everything. It's healthy. It's good for you. It is. Then when the weather changes, it'll be nice. But it's to get, you got to remember what we said, be prepared to sleep under a bridge. That's what standing out there in the freezing cold is. And you're not getting anything, $5, right? But remember, It's going to surprise you. We're going to lock up this whole region. We're going to have flyers all over. We got so much time to do it. And whatever comes, it'll be better than the year before last. Or last year. Yeah, it'll be better. We'll have time to build up teams. People will either have to stay away or just don't come around because we're recruiting. And if they stay gone, we go out and recruit. So there's other people around. We'll recruit them, and we will be the managers of, just keep our eyes on the boxes and stuff. We'll be all right. It doesn't make a difference. We got this one covered. And remember, it would be difficult for everybody else. It's not difficult for us. It's a big joke. It's fun. So make everything fun, right? If it's fun, you can do anything if it's fun. I know I mentioned this, and I'm going to close up in a minute. But when all that snow is all around here, the little kids are out there having fun. Why are you and I not out there? Because we know better. Their hands are blue. I see them, the light-skinned, they would be blue. You can see their veins in the snow. Because it's fun. We slide down the hill. Do you want to slide down the hill? Heck no, you're trying to stop sliding on the sidewalk. You don't want to slide, no. You've had enough, right? It's not fun. For them, it's fun. For us, this is fun. Battling with boss man, and he can't hit you, and you getting old and out moving boss man. He got everybody on his team. He had 1,000 people trying to grab you. I'll close. That used to be one of the secrets. They used to have a goon squad. Goon squad is in prisons. They don't have them like that now. They got them different. If you see the goon squad now, it's organized. They got body armor. They got everything, and when they come in, the shields first and all of that. They used to have the goon squad was that goons. The lieutenant or the captain would blow the whistle, and all of them would come out everywhere, and they'd run down. They'd know where to go. They'd come in to get you. So if you knew them well, all you do is make them mad, and then guess what? They'll beat each other to death trying to beat you to death because they'd be so mad. Then they'd be breathing hard, breathing all on you, right? I told the goon squad out there in Santa Rita in the jail, I said, you guys have really progressed. I said, hey, man, because you could feel what they're doing. They're using martial arts. They're doing everything. They're lifting up the back part of your body so it'll be down on that cement floor, and you can't breathe. So I just turn myself one way, turn myself the other, then lift up. In other words, I know what they're doing, so I know what I got to do to stay alive. But I complimented them. The next morning I said, you guys have really improved. I said, you could kill somebody and not a mark on them. They're using all martial arts. You can see what they're doing with your hands and feet. They're not beating you no more like they used to. They're twisting everything, and they're using weight, your legs to put you where you can't do nothing, right? When you try to do something, both of them got you on one side, and they got you bent over, and you can't do nothing. You have to open your legs to try to sit down, and they're still pushing you along. They've trained, I guess the martial artists showed them how to do all of that stuff. Yeah, okay. We Negroes are taking our seat at the table of history. This is important. They kept us out of everything, and when they bring you in as a clown. like the movies. What was the movies talking about? Where they big and famous? Empire. Niggas ain't got no empire. If they get one, the white folks take it from them, right? What? They take everything. They take what's Barry Gordy's thing? They took that. They take every rapper, dapper, whatever they doing. They take it from them. I think Michael Jackson was the only one that was. I shouldn't say it too loud. That might have been why he had the Beatles whole thing. And they thought Michael was a dummy. That might have been why he ain't here no more, right? If you got the Beatles whole everything, and anytime they play a Beatle, they gonna give you some money, right? And one thing white folks is gonna play forever from now on, they got generations of Beatles lovers, historical Beatle lovers. Poe Elvis, that white man could not sing, boy, but he got the white folks, and whoever got his thing.
Michael had Elvis too.
My goodness, no wonder. So wonder he lasted as long as he did. Good God Almighty. He had Elvis and the Beatles. Good God Almighty. Elvis, he lucky he lasted that long. He got his hair on. Poor Mike. Well, hey, man. And they got the Negroes on the movies on TV like they running something. Does anybody run anything out there? Not a one. Okay, it's different with us. You know, it works on your head. It makes you feel proud that you have the whole government running around in circles with you, and you can pull strings and make them jump through hoops. People can't do that. We can. It's fun. Make boss man act a fool, and he acts a fool. I'm telling you, it's just wonderful. Okay, enemies you don't know, enemies you do know, Stalingrad, encirclement, suppression. Purpose, mean, results. We talked about Libya, Yemen, Iraq, Libya, We'll talk about that another time. Look at Oakland and look at the world. Good God Almighty. Looking at Oakland now is heartbreaking. Looking at LA is heartbreaking. Good God Almighty. And we say part of that is because they've been bad. Yeah, Oakland has been bad. Oh, you want to mess with the brother? Well, now see how much you can deal with all the homeless. Y'all want to bust the brother upside the head? Yeah, go ahead, fine. Now, what you going to do with this homeless stuff? That's what we tell them, and that's what we mean. And we told them before it happened, keep messing with us, it's going to be hard on you. Now it's hard on them. We said then we were going to claim credit for some of that stuff, right? Okay, so the worst places in the United States is Oakland and LA. So what about that? It just so happens that we had 2 spots in LA and plenty of stuff in Oakland. Yeah. I'm telling you. Hey, Allah hook you up. You know, Allah give you something where, or enough that they don't know whether it's you or not. That's just as good as it being you. They don't know. So that all-knowing white man, where is he at now? Where's the all-knowing white man? Huh? Boss man know this. Boss man know. Well, what does he know? What he knows about inflation, and he knows he loaned out $5. Now he owe $100,000 back, and they ain't gonna never get it back, and it's all gonna be flat broke. And how's he gonna control everybody? Because everybody is not with him, and he done made this group of white folks mad, that group of white folks mad, and they can have mass confusion. They're going to need a coordinator. Mass confusion. Because they don't have one, there used to be just one group of white folks, well, two groups. The liberated-minded white folks, we're going to take you up to Canada or something like that, and then the other Dixie white folks. Now they got all kind of white folks. White folks in white folks. Yeah, they got white folks, man, and they can change uniforms anytime they want because they white. They can talk gangster talk today and be in with the gangster white folks, and they can talk save the world one day and be with them. America, confusion. Why do you think we're taking all this and trying to be focused and training ourselves to relax at all time? Is because chaos is coming. There's nothing it's got to come. I mean, it just come. Okay, I don't want to talk no more than that. So thank y'all very much. Are there any questions, any comments at all?
There were a couple. This one came in off of YouTube. They said that this was kind of more the beginning of the lecture, talking about the recent brother that got killed. And he brought it up saying, stating the fact that Planned Parenthood promotes abortion relentlessly among blacks, with 80% of the efficient abortion mills are all located in inner city areas with black population above 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was another one on just
While you're looking at that, on that subject, remember 30 years ago in D.C., they had children having children? The biggest thing going on. You saw more black kids and babies and that, just where are they at now? Go out there and just wait till you see a baby, somebody come by with a baby in D.C., a black person. Doesn't make a difference. Here's why. We have to be very friendly with the people who really technically own the big part of that. Now, there are different groups. If you take what was originally the Mexican population that was West Coast orientated, but Mexicans have many original Indian tribes, like today in Mexico, and still, but that was integration. But the Spanish were conquerors too. They were conquistadors. They conquered, and then they integrated with the peoples and what. So you have the original Spanish type, which they kicked off a century and a half ago. You have Mexicans, but now you have all kind of Latinos blended in here. You have super oppressed Puerto Ricans, which in Puerto Rico probably at least 40% of the Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico are black. Taking the people's land, okay, don't worry. All of that, the people are moving down to Puerto Rico, taking, But you have to look at all of this confusion, why we want to stabilize ourselves. Because the glue that holds America together is coming apart. It's loosening up. It's getting soggy. Race won't hold it together. The racial glue, it held it together all that other time. And it was a few white folks mixing in and trying to loosen up, but it still held together. Now, there's the different groups within each race. And each one of them hates each other as much as they hate me and you. Yeah. And they have as much mistrust of, each other. And then you have, why is it so important that we make America aware of what America has done so we can unify the people? All the people. It's not your fault. You just, came here and did that. Even it's not you immigrants, Italians and everybody that came here and used up all of it. The Italians doing the same thing that the new Salvadorians and other people from Latin America. Who's doing all the work around here? Who's putting on all the roofs? Latinos. It's not their fault. The people up here made them poor, got all their bananas down there and bring them up here for 2 pennies, and then they sell them to us for $1. Okay. So it's not their fault that they're running, you know what I mean, up here. Of course, we don't say fault, but when I got here, people did electricity. They used to have 12 trucks. Then they had 2, and the 2 guys were older. I said, well, what happened? Because we wanted a black company to do our electricity. I said, he said, you hire somebody, you got a truck, they come in on Tuesday afternoon, do Wednesday and Thursday, and they want to get paid early Friday and go home. And you can't do that, right? And the other people gonna work, they'll get lazy too. Just wait. You can get moved by their house. They have big trucks now. It's happened to every group of people. Okay, but the point is, there has to be a glue that holds the new confederation of humanity together in America to get this job done for the good of humanity. I don't see nobody thinking about it like that, but us. And we've been thinking about it like we've been on that page a long time. We have to be patient as things go along, and we have to be patient with the people. But remember, the main enemy of humanity is first the Zionists, then the Americans, then other various dummies, not dummies, but people. And it's our job to be relaxed and to teach this possibility of working together for a good common cause. And you think about it, if we don't do it, you can pull out your calculator and start figuring, well, how long does the earth have to last like this, right? That's the way it was in the old days, but the Quran don't speak of it. In the Hadith, it was a flood of humanity. It was a this or that, right? Okay. Whatever it was overwhelming the people, and they didn't have the character to rescue themselves from that historical period. This is our historical period. I hope that we do what's good for ourselves, for humanity. Look, and I'll really close with this. It don't make no difference. I can just say myself, I like this job better than anything I've ever done. I never expected it to be this nice. And remember, I've had everything else that everybody is working for. I mean, I had that and extra. And just this last few weeks is the first time I've ever got this low on money. And you remember, forget after taking money out of bank accounts, after cutting off fundraisers, after friendly fire, that means, just the money's gone, okay? After all of that, and after we have all the property we have, there's no income. And we ain't panicked about it. Why? Because if you go back through all the history, Allah be hooking you up. And when you know that, it's okay. It's just all right. That's the way it is now. Are there any more questions or comments?
Someone had a comment about Jesse said, "Where are all the civilized black folks? Jesse called us Afro-Americans, and we went along with that bull. I guess called the Afro-American term."
Right.
I want to piggyback off of this because they have a phenomenon, man. When you was talking about humanity coming back, I see a lot of people on YouTube bringing up old theologies as far as we're indigenous here, and they have a FBA movement, an ADOS movement. We're really Native Americans here. I'm seeing a lot of that stuff going on, and they bringing up old theologies of the '60s, fighting white supremacy and all this stuff that's going on. But I see that you're on the right course because you basically saying that all the old theologies are old. Humanity has to come together, and I feel that many people are not. They need to catch up to us.
Well,
I hope I'm making sense.
no, it makes perfect sense. I'd just like to clarify certain. For instance, when we talk about this unified humanity, we're happy when we hear about Native Americans reclaiming themselves. When they talk about all the Indian schools they had in Canada, God, dog. I mean, and see, I know something bad happened and it was worse than what we saw in movies. Because see, the Indian reservations are like DC. So a lot of the things that they do on Indian reservations, they go to federal prison, just like here in DC, everybody go to the feds. Because there's no state prison for DC. There's no state prison. It's not even a county jail if you call it DC jail. Well, it's not the county jail. It's a DC jail. Okay. I remember when I first went to federal prison, if they had 6-men cells, you would have 1 or 2 Native Americans in there. Or it was, you know. And when I looked at them, I just felt sad. I said, man, what they did to the brothers, what they did to them, all of us have our favorite, we're the favorite oppressed Negro. But this is before the black movement, black pride was big at that time, and in the early 70s. So, but they was getting just Ruby Ridge and all of that stuff, for the Native Americans. But those boarding schools and all that stuff we had heard about them. But you think they detribalized the Negro. They really did a job on them. And then they're in their own country. It's like a South African. Zulu can work, or a Palestinian, he could go and work for the Israelis in Israel because he could get a better salary there than he could at his own house. That's what colonization was. But one of the points I'm trying to make is that these systems destroy people categorically. And here we want to do is build or rebuild people. Okay. even if we're partially successful, that's fine. And we are not, if white people want to have a neighborhood white folks movement or meeting, they can, right? If we want to have a black, but we just want to keep the main monster. That's what we have to be careful with. Keep the main monster, the Zionist American out there, so that we all focus. So our approach is to sympathize in some case with everybody. So we sympathize with hillbillies. You know, one of the hillbillies said in the War on Poverty, he said to tell in '64, he talking to President Johnson, he said, I heard you declared war on poverty. Could you show me where I can go and surrender? Because remember, those white people in Appalachia and everything, they're as poor or poorer. It's you don't have no contest. I'm more oppressed than you because it's oppression, right? So you could argue with the Beverly Hillbillies, y'all. We got more, oppression than you because you still white, da 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 da. It's white my behind. As soon as we open our mouth, they already know what door to send us through. Right? Okay. So that's why this is a good job. We want to unify humanity, and they want to divide, conquer, and rule humanity. So everybody should be able to maintain their special little gifts, their little tribal language, their little regional behavior, that's theirs. On the collective, that's where we want to unify. On our picture of what we want America and the world to look like and what we're willing to do to get it there. I think the American people, don't want to sound like no politician, would be willing to sacrifice and do a lot of things if everybody had to do it together. I think they would. They'd walk to the store. They'd do a lot of things. Technically, it's good. And guess what? After they get out of them cars and get on the trolleys, it'll be a million of buses going by, and they start seeing people. Guess what? They'll start making friends, and they'll have friends all over the place. Remember how we are. Like right now, we're going out and we're going to be at different massages, centers, and everything like that. But personally, for the last few years, I've been at my house here, and when I drive, and I used to drive all over the city, when I drive out of the city, I come back the same way almost. And in other words, and Boss Man is checking. Boss Man is hoping it stay that way, but it's not going to stay that way because we got something else. Boss Man is hoping that you have your same old patterns of behavior and you don't change them. Stick with what you are, but we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to do that. No, there ain't nowhere in the world. The point is, you get to be a creature of habit. Okay? We have a habit, the kids have a habit of just using these gadgets. They use them. I don't even want to use them. You know what I mean? I don't even want to use the gadget. I said, I want to get up and turn the knob for the channel. They don't have a knob, Dad. They don't have, see there? You can't do that anymore. That's been 3 moves back. You can't. This little thing, I said, if I sit here with this, I never have to move. I could sit here, and the only time I move is to go to the bathroom or get a snack, and then I come back and I could sit here. I would do it every now and then. You know the way they have these, they call it binge TV. Maybe it's a program that you like. Now you could watch all of them programs. So if that was this program I like, what was this program about the president? Huh? House of Cards. I like that because it was just showed how they act. And how did the poor guy push the little white lady in the subway to get run over? All that stuff, it was like, so I could binge watch. I go to the house and I say, okay, it's 12 programs. I'm going to knock them out. And I could knock them out in 1 or 2 days and then get back doing what I could binge watch. And it's only been a couple of programs like that. But I could knock them out in a whole, and then it give you a little feeling. Remember, people are out there watching that. First, the people are trying to tune in to those people. So they're going to do things that appeal to those people. And then the other people are being appealed to. They're going to respond to what they just saw. So I used to try to convince my kids on how crooked the system is. So I said, sit here and watch House of Cards with me. So they'd watch 1 or 2. They said, I'm convinced. Because it was so crooked, right? And then the poor guy that wound up being a pedophile or something. Well, I said, it's even worse. It's true. He's not only a crook on TV, he's a crook, a pedophile in real life. You know what I mean? Oh, Bill, yeah. Hey, look. Shoot. Hey, look. And there was one more, not to be on those, but I used to watch Madam Secretary. It's about the State Department, just to see how they played things. And I saw a couple of things when they was blaming stuff on the Saudis. I said, okay, so you could measure a little bit, you know. Are there any more questions or comments? Okay, we thank y'all very much. Technically now, this is a fundraiser. I know we already fundraised out, but if there's a box over there, if you want to put $300, $400, $500, and then it's probably, or maybe even $1,000, it don't make no difference to me. But this is technically a fundraiser. But anyway, we on a roll right now. We in our element, and this is where we're gonna stay. You know, inshallah. So there's no more questions or comments. Okay, alhamdulillah. That's